I want to just share some breaking news that I just heard, which is very relevant to this morning. The Supreme Court ruled this morning in favor of President Donald Trump in the Trump versus Hawaii case on restricting travel, and said that there was no religious bias, that Donald Trump had reasons for doing this. And I want to just start there, David. Your reactions to this news from the Supreme Court that President Trump can essentially unilaterally ban people coming to this country. This is it's both connected to refugees, but it's also connected to other normal movements of people. What's your reaction?
So I think it's a really good place to start. First of all, it's nice to be called old and antiquated by Steve Clemons. I'm feeling you're getting younger and I'm getting older as the years go by. Look, I think there's a really important point about this judgment, and it may be a surprising one, but I say it to you as someone who lives and works in New York, but who's not an American citizen. And that is that your Constitution and the law is a great bulwark of a free society, and it needs to be defended at every stage. But there is a snare in legalizing policy problems. And my great fear about the judgment today is that it will be reported not as President Trump's executive order is constitutional, it will be reported as President Trump's executive order is right. And there's a very big difference between something being constitutional and something being right. And my argument all along has been that the refugee policy as regards the arrival of refugees into the United States, the Trump administration inherited a situation where 90,000 refugees a year were resettled into the US. The president decreed that only 45,000 should come. In fact, only 21,000 are being allowed in this fiscal year, so there's been a 3/4 reduction in the number of refugees being allowed into the US. My argument has always been a policy argument that this is bad for America, bad for the refugees, and bad for the global effort to bring security and dignity to people whose lives are convulsed by war and persecution. And the constitutional argument, while born of the best possible instinct, which is to defend people, leads to a situation where it's almost that if something is legal, it must be right. And my argument, my response today is, well, it may be legal, but that doesn't make it any more right, because it's founded on allegations about lack of security vetting, lack of integration into society, criminal elements coming in, that is completely untrue. And I think I would plead with you, those of you who are Americans, to remember that your duty as citizens is not just to stand up for what is legal, but to stand up for what is right.